Hey guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. Well, gentlemen, we're out here in the shop again today, and we're going to cover foot pedal 101 basic. There's a lot of different reasons why you need to have a foot pedal. The primary reason is a lot of your amateur amplifiers that were produced pre the 80s and even portion of the mid 80s are not soft key compatible. So like your ICOM 7300, your fancy dancy happy go lucky do everything radio, without having a soft key box that sits between the radio and the amplifier, the radio cannot key that amp. So when you're talking on sideband, go to hit the mic, you can't use the send signal that comes from this radio to key your amplifier. So what a lot of guys do, instead of modifying the amp to make it so it runs off a 12 volt baseline signal, they just use a foot pedal. Now the guy that I'm working for today, this is the foot pedal I've used in every video I've ever made. This is the bench foot pedal. I don't even remember where I got it from. I've had it for so long. This is a sewing machine foot pedal made by Treadlight, and this thing's old, like older than I am. And all you're doing is you're going to take the center conductor of your RCA jack here, and you're going to short it to the shield. Very basic process. Okay, what that does is it closes the opposite end of a 110 volt electrical circuit and allows the relay to latch up. And it protects your relays from being, well, arc scored from you modulating and the relays chattering. Okay. Mighty Fine Junk builds a, I don't know what they call a soft module, soft key box, where it utilizes the auxiliary jack out of your modern radio, and this unit stands alone, so you got to give it power, and then you got to have all the adapter cables, and it allows you to plug an RCA cable in the back that plugs into the amplifier, and it senses the signal that comes from your ICOM. Back up here again. Senses the signal coming from the ICOM, and internally it's got a separate relay, and then it closes and it keys the amplifier. Well, a lot of guys, what they do is they just use a foot pedal, like I said. So you step on the pedal, then you bring the amplifier into operation. Or you step on the foot pedal, which brings the amplifier into operation. Then you key your radio. And it keeps the relay contacts from having to draw an arc. Now there's lots of guys out there that build auto sense boxes. And what they're doing is they're looking for a little bit of weep signal from the radio. They'll sense that coming in. Then with a transistor and a cap, they'll close another relay which will run your amplifier. The downside with that, and yes, some of them are so fancy, you've even just got a knob on them. You turn them so you can vary the amount of capacitance in the delay circuit and keep the relay open or closed longer. It's the basic version. They make more complex ones, but what a lot of guys want to do, they actually want to be in control of what they're doing, so they just step on a pedal, click, and then they spike the mic and they start talking. Okay. Well, I'm doing this video two parts. Two major reasons. One, I've sold or repaired or sent a lot of SB220s out the door here lately, and I've had several people call me or text me, "Hey, where's my foot pedal for my amp?" I don't know. I don't keep any of those on the shelf. I didn't know that I needed to do that. I don't remember that being part of the deal. But when that happens, I usually provide them with a foot pedal and say, "Okay, here, I'll help you out. I'll just go get it." Or I try to explain to them where to go get it, and they get very quickly overwhelmed, and then all of a sudden the amplifier doesn't get used, which is not what we want. We want people to use their equipment that they purchased, right? So we're going to explain to you how to build a simple foot pedal for your amplifier here today. This is where we start. This is my Amazon shopping cart. Foot pedal. Oh, geez, let's clear that out. Foot pedal. Okay. Foot pedal switch. Stop. I'm already losing control of my phone here. So it says right here, foot pedal USB, foot pedal switch. We're not looking for a USB version. We're not looking for a tattoo version. We're looking for the switch. We're going to click on switch, and it's going to give us a bunch of variable different foot pedals on Amazon. Now, the one that we're going to work with today is this one right here, made by Temco. This is a heavy-duty foot pedal switch. Okay, it's $16.99 for the foot pedal. It's made of cast aluminum, and it's heavy-duty. The reason this is important is because the gentleman that I'm building a foot pedal for today here, he's a little bit disabled, and he says bigger is better for him, which I thought was pretty awesome, and that's what he chose. Let's go research. Now, if I wanted to build the same foot pedal, here's one right here, $22.75, and that's pretty close to what I've already got. The problem is the plug. Plug does not have a RCA connector on it, and you're looking for the male. On your amplifier, you're going to have the female. Okay. Female, male. It's the same thing with coax connectors, antenna adapters, power plugs. Real simple. Male goes in female. I think we all remember that from sex ed when we were in high school, junior high, right? I'm pretty sure most of you guys out there have got grandbabies, so I think you figured it out. Just saying. Practice makes perfect. Practice as much as possible. So my guy chose this one here, which is what we're going to do. We're going to do this little Temco here, and it looks surprisingly like this. You can also order them off of eBay, but I like Amazon. It's a little bit quicker shipping, and it's just a preference. So the other thing that you're looking for is that it's not a momentary contact switch. This is our common, okay, and this is our switch point. So either the switch is going to be normally closed or normally open. Well, normally open, now it's closed. Normally open, now it's disconnected. So we're going to hook up these two plugs on our foot pedal. This is heavy. It takes a lot of energy to push this down. But I don't care how drunk and mad you are at the guy down the street deciding that you're going to have a cuss out war on channel 19 or 3.850, whatever it is. You guys can't break this by smashing it. Or the grad kids can't break it by hitting it with a hammer. It is what it is. We're going to utilize these 2 points. This is our common. It switches between these 2 connectors. So when we step on a foot pedal, it shorts this connection to this connection. So relaxed, it's not connected. Depressed, it's connected. That's what we're shooting for. Any foot pedal will work. I have a friend of mine, he's a master machinist. He took 2 tiny little pieces of stainless steel, took a little piece of Teflon, stuck it in between the 2, made a nice little plate for it on some Bakelite, and he just steps on the pedal. Made his own pedal. Or you can just use a light switch if you really wanted to go about that route. Me personally, I like to pretend like I'm hitting the gas pedal in a car. My station over here requires 3 foot pedals and a finger trigger. So it's click, click with the right foot, click on the left foot, and then I pull the trigger. And then I start talking. Okay. Or I could link them all together with a smart box and just have one pedal, but I like to have control, physical input control. That's just me personally. Okay, We've established how to get a foot pedal. We've established where to get a foot pedal that's relatively cheap and does not need to be complex, does not need to be this heavily duty. It can be very simple. But we established all those things. Now let's get on to putting this together. It's really simple. If your foot pedal comes with a Hakko strain relief like this, which I doubt it will, but if you guys decide to go out and buy Temco's, and Temco is kind of like the China freight of Amazon, okay? Temco makes all kinds of weird stuff. I have Temco hydraulic crimpers for eyelet connections. I have Temco dye reliefs. Temco makes all kinds of stuff, and it's all over Amazon. And it's not the greatest in the universe. It's not like a Motorola foot switch, but still, for what this is, for what you pay, it is decent enough to get you through the day. Anyhow, back to the strain relief. It's going to have 3 parts. Your insert, your threaded insert, and these are your finger stock. And inside your finger stock, you're going to put this little rubber booty. And then comes your reducer. And as the reducer does its job, oh my God, she's been practicing her Kegels. It allows us to have reduction for our strain relief. That's how that goes together. Just so you guys know, I don't know what kind of foot pedal you end up buying, but just so you know. Now, the other things that we are going to need. 1, RCA connector. A couple little pieces of heat shrink, preferably the kind that's got epoxy in it. And some stranded wire. Some guys use speaker wire. I'm not a big fan of that. I went and I got myself some nice, beautiful white stock 20 feet worth of wire. That's what's here. This is phone wire, but it's stranded. Stranded is important because we want this thing to last more than a week. As we know, if I was to use something like this here, this is regular solid core phone wire. And this will work if you're never planning on moving the foot pedal. I, on the other hand, am planning on this guy moving his foot pedal a lot. So therefore, we're going to create the connections for that. So wire, and then some eyelets and a soldering iron. That's all it's going to take. So we strip back our white wire, which has got 4 leads in it, and we're going to combine 2 of the leads. We're going to combine yellow and red, and we're going to combine black and green. Now, 1 wire is more than sufficient. There is not a lot of amperage that needs to go through this wire. I mean, none. Like, nothing. So, I don't want you guys to get too carried away with me saying, oh, you can use angel hair. You can't. Okay. The only parts that you've missed is I put 2 pieces of heat shrink tubing on this wire. 1, so our strain relief internal has got a little bit more to bite down on when we go to tighten this down here. And then 2, our little rubber downsizer on the back of the thing, and our strain relief, has got a little bit more to grab into. So now, that can't pull out. Now, most of you guys, what you're going to do is you're going to buy something with an end on it. And most of them, they'll show up, and they'll have a mono or stereo 1/4 inch jack on the back of them. Now, you can spend like the $7 or $8 and get the adapter that goes from this down to this. Okay. We're going to wire ours committed. That's fine. It is what it is. So now we're going to grab up 2 eyelets and we're going to simply solder them on our 2 wires. Oh, I'm out of frame. Grab up our 2 eyelets and we're going to solder them on our 2 wires. Simple. So right now you guys are asking yourselves, but BBI, why'd you use eyelets that are 10 times as too big? A little tiny wire for a switch that's designed to put up with a lot more than what we're going to use it for. So these are the appropriate sized eyelets for our switch, but absolutely the wrong size eyelet for the size of wire. Now, please remember there's a small group of people out there in this universe that think soldering a connection is paramount to killing little baby Jesuses or something. I don't know. But remember, we're going to take our black and yellow, we're going to go here, our black and our green, and we're going to go here with it. So let's let this focus. You see exactly what I'm talking about. The appropriate size eyelets for the switch. And we soldered our wires in place. That's it. So then we put down our little rubber booty, put our Timco cap on it, screw down our cap lid, sealing until the end of time, our connection. And guys, I cannot stress to you that this is like on the super end of overkill for foot switches, okay? This is heavy and robust because of the situation it's going into. So all the guy's got to do when he gets this on his end is literally plug it into his amp and step on the foot pedal. And he'll hear the relays go click, and then go to tuning. Done, and done right. Stranded wire, very flexible, soft rubber jacket. Okay, so this is going to require us thinking in reverse order for a hot minute, which I know you guys can do. So we're going to go last on, second to last on. This is our heat shrink sequence that we're putting on now, you guys. Second to second to second to last on, and then our first on. Okay. And then we're going to try and be ninjas here in a minute. We're going to try. We're going to try. And what I mean by that is we're going to solder to this pin. This little tiny pin. Here and here. But we're going to try and keep the two separated. So, dear Lord, please Jesus, watch over us in the next couple minutes. See if I can do this and not F this up. So we pre-tinned our wire. There we go. We got our heat activated epoxy-based heat shrink in there. And we got that to take without the heat shrink activating, which is a small miracle. Okay, now in turn, take our ground lead, we're going to come out the opposite side with it. Down. Okay. Now, we got to be really careful what we do next. We don't want to touch the wires for a minute, because remember, this portion is now 7 trillion or jubillion degrees. Give it a minute, let heat transfer so we don't end up bubbling into these connections. So, now in theory, we're supposed to shove this through and wad it all up. I'm not going to do that. I'm simply going to hit this with some hot air, have our heat shrink set on this, and we're going to do our strain relief elsewhere. Okay, now our heat shrink is going to set as it cools, but we're going to do our strain relief down chain. I'm not going to pinch over these little tabs. Doesn't work out very well. If you're using regular wire, you'd bring in one wire soldered here, you'd bend this over to grab, then you take your other set of wire and fold it up. This won't work out too well for us if we do that. So, slide this in. Okay. Now that's all set and done. Just like so. So now we're going to bring in our first piece of epoxy-based heat shrink, which is going to act as our strain relief. Because this little bit here is worthless. Worthless. A little bit of plastic. Regret it every time. All right, now somebody out there in radio land is going, but you got to check it first. Yeah, you're right. And if it comes back to bite me, So be it. Now when using this epoxy-based style of heat shrink, once this gets cool, this epoxy, like on this connection here, will get stiff and hard. So let that cool down for a minute. Work this in here to where it overlaps the underpiece. And then our last little bit of heat shrink to lock the whole mess together. Now to let that cool. Very simple, and that's really all we need. That's it, gentlemen. Very basic. How do you make your own foot pedal? And I'll get to keep this video around, that way when I run into the future, which has happened twice today alone. Hey, how do I make my own foot pedal? I can simply say here, refer to das video, and then you'll know. Gentlemen, I got to run. Hopefully this will help somebody someplace along the line somehow understand what we're talking about when we talk about foot pedals. And once again, this is pretty stiff. That's what we're wanting. We're wanting to take the strain off this joint. That's what we were looking for. They make really nice metal ones. RCA cables, you don't have to go with this kind. They actually make kind that you can thread onto. You don't need to solder to. But this is what we have, this is what we used, and this is what's going to go out to the customer, and I think it's going to work wonderfully for him. It's got about 22 feet worth of wire. Hopefully that'll work out well for him. Gentlemen, I gotta run. As always, my name is BBI. Without a shadow of a doubt, I'm the biggest mud duck in Idaho. Any questions, comments, or anything I can do to try and help you out on anything, don't hesitate to call or text. I do what I can to help everyone evenly and non-judgmentally, which is pretty hard to find, I guess, from what people tell me. Bump, bump. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you. Bye-bye.